We just show up and grind all day. Only results matter anyway. I'm straightforward, no time to play. Block out the noise, let nothing sway. We don't care what others pursue. Our focus sharp, our goal so true. Their distractions ain't got a clue. We just win, that's what we do. Turn it up on the victory ride. We got heart and we got pride. Let the doubters run and hide. We're the force they can't deny. Keep your eyes on the finish line. No looking back, no wasting time. We climb the ranks, we shine and shine. Success is drawn like a fine line. Turn it up on the victory ride. We got heart and we got pride. Let the doubters run and hide. We're the force they can't deny. Keep your eyes on the finish line. No looking back, no wasting time. We climb the ranks, we shine and shine. Success is drawn like a fine line. Turn it up on the victory ride. We got heart and we got pride. Let the doubters run and hide. We're the force they can't deny. Step by step we reach the top. We'll keep going, we won't stop. Watch us rise, see jaws drop. When we win, we own the lot. We don't care what others pursue. Our focus sharp, our goal so true. Their distractions ain't got a clue. We just win, that's what we do. Turn it up on the victory ride. We got heart and we got pride. Let the doubters run and hide. We're the force they can't deny. Keep your eyes on the finish line. No looking back, no wasting time. We climb the ranks, we shine and shine. Success is drawn like a fine line. Keep your eyes on the finish line. No looking back, no wasting time. We climb the ranks, we shine and shine. Success is drawn like a fine line. Step by step we reach the top. We'll keep going, we won't stop. Watch us rise, see jaws drop. When we win, we own the lot. Step by step we reach the top. We'll keep going, we won't stop. Watch us rise, see jaws drop. When we win, we own the lot. Step by step we reach the top. We'll keep going, we won't stop. Watch us rise, see jaws drop. When we win, we own the lot. Step by step we reach the top. We'll keep going, we won't stop. Watch us rise, see jaws drop. When we win, we own the lot. Yeah.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. How is everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone is doing absolutely phenomenal. I am Tech Coach Ralph. We are Engineer Twin. This is the Tech Q&A show, where if you have questions about tech, about career, software engineering, quality assurance, DevOps, whatever it may be, you can ask in the chat. You can call in to the show. The link is pinned at the top of the chat, and it's in the description, so feel free to call in. It is your opportunity to talk to me about whatever your heart's desire. And the goal is that we should be talking to my guy Rod Brown from the Nourishing Word later tonight as well. We shall see. Hopefully, if all goes well, he will be calling in and we'll have a conversation, a very interesting conversation about a video that he created today about the whole Shedeur Sanders situation, about the NFL draft. And I wanted to pick his mind about his perspective on this whole thing and talk about, could the issue also be being a good cultural fit into an organization? So that is the plan for today. We have a bunch of questions. Hopefully we get to have your questions, interact with you in the chat as well. All of that good stuff. All right. But before we go any further, let's jump into our agenda for today. Today is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Ms. Freckles, I see you here. I remember about a month or two ago, I told you we're almost in March and 2025 was over, and you did not believe me. Do you believe me now? Is 2025 over yet, Miss Freckles? Because the month of April zoomed by so quickly. So I remember you were telling me, no, it's not over, it's not over. And I said, I don't know, Miss Freckles, I don't know. Well, what do you think now, Miss Freckles? What do you think now? All right. So let's jump into our agenda and let's get the show on the road. So first and foremost, I want to say a big thank you to all of the subscribers, those who have been with me for a very, very long time, and those who are so brand new to the channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate every last one of you.
I appreciate you.
And shout out to all of the amazing Patreon members, my tech barbarians, my tech project members, my technical explorers. They are working so hard every single day. I'm telling you, you guys remember about 2 weeks ago, I was working like nonstop with one of my tech barbarians, getting ready for an interview, working on a project, and we were just like grinding it out. And look, we're on to the next step. We are on to the next step. So we'll be working right back at it again to get to the final hurdle to hopefully get them into that company. So, you know, we work over here. We work. So shout out to all of my Patreon members, my tech barbarians. And so I'm telling you, like, each one of them, they are working towards a particular goal. From whatever tier they're on, they're working towards a particular goal. And I am so proud of every last one of them. We are the best.
We the best.
And shout out to the tech mercenaries. Those are the YouTube channel members who keep the channel alive and running, who allows me to be here day in and day out. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
All right, quick housekeeping, upcoming shows. Tomorrow we have our morning show. Probably gonna get started around 7:30 because I do got a work meeting at 9 a.m. So probably around 7:30, 7:45-ish in the morning. We're going to be finishing up this large language model thing. We started it yesterday, little issues here and there, but we're gonna figure that out tomorrow, and then we should finally be able to move on to day 2. We do have our software explorations concept and overviews tomorrow. It's going to be very basic, very quick. I'm going to be showing you how to upload a file to the cloud using cloud storage. I'm going to be using AWS and S3. Very simple, but if you've never done it before, it can be quite intimidating. So we're going to be doing that. All right. And we are going to be going live this Sunday for our Jiu-Jitsu talk Sunday evening. So join us for that. Me, Justin, Henry, Naum. All of the fellas from Jiu-Jitsu are going to be talking up that Jiu-Jitsu on the Half Guard Halfie channel. So let me just drop that in the chat in case you haven't been over there and you were interested in learning about Jiu-Jitsu, like Roxy, who's going to do her first class, or not. And lastly, if you haven't done so already, do me a big favor, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification so you know every time we go live and drop new content as well. techwithdrop.dev. Sign up today for exclusive access. I'm telling you, I'm going to be putting up some amazing content on the Patreon about interviews, about job preparation, about how to work after you, what do you do after you get hired? So many different things to talk about in there, as well as get access to the Tech Coach Drop Discord. A lot of things happening in there as well. All right. So with that being said, I am going to check out who is in the chat. Say hello to all of my friends. So first and foremost in the building, we have the one, the only Miss Freckles in the building. Miss Freckles says, finally catching a true live show. Blessings to everyone, especially TCR. Thank you so much, Miss Freckles. I appreciate that. We have Roxy, Rock the Scrubs Roxy in the building, says, hey, I'm the cleanup crew. What's up, Roxy? How are you? Hopefully you're doing amazing. And Miss Freckles says, yes, it's basically 2027 at this point. That escalated quickly, right, Miss Freckles? Wow. All I said was 2026, and you're already at 2027. Well, it is what it is. We got my guy Junior in the building. Says, what's up? What's up? What's up, family? What's good with you, Junior? Hopefully you are doing absolutely phenomenal.
We the best.
Let's see. And Roxy says, glossy as ever. That is true. That is true. That is true. And Roxy says, thumbs up. She is doing her jiu-jitsu class this coming Friday. So let's clap it up for Roxy doing her first jiu-jitsu class. Please you know what, Roxy, tap into the show on Sunday. Let us know how your first class was. We will be waiting for you. Right, Junior? We'll be waiting on Sunday to hear on the Half Guard Halfy channel to know how Roxy's first jiu-jitsu class. Miss Freckles will be there. You know, just let us know how it went. Let us know how it went. All right. Let's see. Miss Freckles says, I'm here, but I'm still making dinner. You gotta multitask sometimes. You gotta multitask. So shout out to you, Miss Freckles. Let's get it. All right. So let's go. Let's start the show. So we're gonna be doing question chat. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. And let me turn this on as well, just so I don't have to be managing the link in the chat. Let's see, where are you? Boom, there we go, perfect. All right, so the link is pinned to the top of the chat. It is in the description, so click it. If you want to call in, have a conversation, you don't even have to be on camera, but feel free to click the link and call in. But with that being said, we are going to get to our very, very first question of the day. Let's do it. Actually, no, before I get to the first question, let me just read these two last chats because I see my guy Wave Nerd is in the building. Junior says, absolutely, hear how Roxy got choked out in 10 seconds. What? That will not happen. All right, come on, Junior, come on. Look, Junior, help me out here. I'm trying to get her to take one class, Junior, help me out here, all right? Help me out. And we got my guy, Wave Nerd, in the building. Says salute and respect to the chat. Salute to you as well, Wave Nerd. Happy as always to have you here. Junior. See, I was this close, Junior. I was this close. Junior did it. I'm definitely not going. Thanks a lot, Junior. Thanks a lot, Junior. And Miss Freckles says Roxy will be doing that's what I thought. Roxy would be doing the choking. I tell you. And you know what? I am so disappointed in you, Junior. I just have to get to the first question of the day. Let's do it. All right.
Another one.
Unfortunately, I got promoted. So this person says that I got promoted. So congratulations on that, I think. But now I'm stuck managing people. What should I do? A year ago, I got a product manager role. I was decent at my job, but things really changed lately when I started using new tech to speed up the boring stuff, as you should. None of this was rocket science. I just described the problems to AI, find some new tools, and make it work. For example, I built an automated dashboard, create MVP in days, not weeks, with version 0, and manage emails and docs with Saner, do deep research, which used to take days with GPT. Then word got around. My work was always ahead of schedule, and during one of those performance reviews, I got offered a team lead role, which was exciting at the time, but now my job feels completely different. It's not just analytics and working with my close devs. I spend way more time in stakeholder alignment meetings than actually solving problems. People don't always say what they mean. Like a senior project manager or product manager said, let's loop in the data team for visibility, which I later learned meant we're blaming them in the next meeting. I shared a draft strategy doc with another team's manager, and instead of feedback, she CC'd my boss and said, this is a strong starting point, but we may need more experienced input. I'm grateful for the promotion, but now I'm trying really hard to manage up without overstepping and still somehow deliver results. any advice for new managers on how to manage both up and down, and what is the key thing I should learn/do to reach a higher position in the future. Would love to hear from anyone who's made a similar jump. All right, so I'm gonna start the timer on this one, and I'm gonna say this. All right, so when it comes to the big difference between management and individual contributor roles is the amount that you're dealing with people. As a product manager, I assume that you already deal with your fair amount of people, but it's mostly with the technical people, sometimes dealing with your bosses saying, okay, what is what we're going to be delivering, and dealing with your developers, seeing where they're at, what needs done, all that good stuff, right? Now, when you get into the manager role, when you're leading people, that's when a lot, because there's politics at all levels of the game. But as you start to move up in leadership roles, the politics get heavy. Now, with those politics, you need to know, as you learned, when they say loop these people in, that meant blame them. You need to be early and strategic in your maneuvering. I think that the best thing that could be done for somebody who has never been in management before, if you want to stay in management, of course, is to start reading some books about leadership, about politics, about human psychology, and how to deal with people. I think a lot of times when we are trying to work with people, and we think that we can take the approach of, well, this is how I work, and now we expect other people to work the same way that we work, that's when we lead ourselves into trouble. Because guess what? I work a particular way, but like I see Mitch over here, he probably works in a much different way than I work. The same way that Roxy might work in a much different way than Mitch works. Now, as a manager, your job is to extract the best out of everyone in the way that they are comfortable working. Because if you try to force Wave Nerd to work like Miss Freckles works, Wave Nerd might be miserable. But Miss Freckles might do an awesome job working the way that she works, right? So if I'm a manager, I have to put the people that I'm working with, the people who I'm leading, who I'm managing, in the best position for them to be successful and to provide more value for the company, for myself. And a lot of that is being able to listen really, really well, to being able to understand what somebody is trying to say. It's almost like you're kind of like a therapist in a way, but not like taking in everybody's problem, but understanding the person and seeing, okay, what do I need to do for this person to be successful? You know? So that is the main thing that I'm thinking about. So I'm thinking about like some books that would talk about leadership. A lot of times people confuse managing and leading, because you can be a leader without necessarily being a manager, and you can definitely be a manager without being a leader. But I think the happy medium is if your management style is in a way that's leading people, and you are extracting, you're putting each of those people who are under you in the best position for them to thrive, right? And making them enjoy the work that they're doing. And also, I think another thing that's important is to protect the people who are under you, to shield them, to make sure that they have, like, you don't let them be overwhelmed with information that's not relevant to them at a particular moment. So I'll tell you this, like in many companies that I work for, the leaders above us, they will get the information and then they'll deliver it when necessary, so that we are not overburdened and stuff like that. So I think that learning politics, learning human psychology, learning leadership skills, you might look at some older books that talk about I don't want to say war, but strategic, like that talk about strategy. So I think going to towards that aspect of it is going to, and you need to get buy-in. You need to get buy-in from your team so that they know that they can trust you and that you are working in their best interest, as well. And once you get them to buy into your vision, then they will do the world for you. Right. So that's my thoughts behind the whole aspect of now that you are in a leadership role. If you want to continue that leadership role, you're going to have to invest in yourself with time, maybe some money, but you're gonna have to invest so that you can build the strength and the confidence, because leading and managing people are two totally different things than just working on projects, and a lot of times companies will promote people to management because you just feel that's what you're supposed to do, when they're they might be more valuable as being an individual contributor, but maybe they need to be senior, a lead role, but not necessarily a management role. So it just depends on where you want it to go. But if you do want to lead and manage people, there are a lot of different resources that you can use to level up in that aspect. All right. So that is my thought. Let's wrap it up and get to the chat. All right, let's see the thoughts of the chat to see what is going on in here. Let's see. We are. So silly. Roxy says, running. What are you talking about, running? I am swiftly driving away. How fast will you be going, Roxy? How fast? Will it be like 120 miles an hour? Will you be going the speed limit? Will you be driving Miss Daisy going about 30 miles an hour in a 70-mile highway? Let's see. Ginger says, it's better to get cooked out in practice and learn how to respond than getting choked out in real life. So you should go. I agree with that. That's very true. Very true. Rocky says, nope, not happening. It is too late.
Bruh.
Junior. Look what you did, Junior. Mitch says, achoo. Well, God bless you, Mitch. God bless you. Hopefully you got that taken care of. All right. Let's see. Junior says, let's make it a community thing. You go, then maybe I'll join also, and more people might get started because of you. Junior, I have been trying for a very, very long time, and this was the closest that I've ever gotten, and then you came and said she was going to get choked out, and you just ruined everything.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Roxy says that Mitch is always sneezing in the chat.
Bruh.
He is always sneezing in the chat. Let's see. Roxy says, you go first, Junior. Usually, Roxy, after you say you go first, then you'll say, then I'll go next. But Roxy totally negated that part. She says, you go first. By the way, good evening, Mitch. I see what you did there. Roxy. I see what you did there. And Mitch says to that manager, fair enough. Let's see. Junior says, I definitely learned when I became a supervisor that the higher you go, the more politics is involved.
How dare you?
That is very, very true. Ms. Greco says, so true. My manager needs help in that regard. A lot of managers need help because a lot of managers, they get promoted to lead based on how they did the job, but a manager is not necessarily someone who is good at the actual work. They know how to put people in the right places to do the actual work. So when you hear like, that's why you can see an athlete who is very, very successful in their sport, then they go to coach and they totally suck. And vice versa. You can have these coaches who have never played a day in their life, but they know statistics, they know analytics, they know people, and they're able to manage a team well. So, that's how it goes. That is how it goes. Wagner says, should programmers take the problems they see in companies they work for and create an AI tool that automates a task or process, sell to the company? I'm going to come back to that one. Let's see. Roxy says, Peter Pan said it's a trap. And Mitch also says, Peter Pan too. Wow, that's kind of violent. And Miss Freckles says, keep things mild instead of spicy like these jalapenos I'm chopping. Yeah, those jalapenos can be pretty spicy. And Junior says, one thing I learned though, Techodrop, is that a lot of the guys that I was responsible for didn't care to learn or do better. They would just say that's above their pay grade. The funny thing is when it's above their pay grade is that then when put the positions that are no longer needed because you're going above their pay grade, they get upset because they get laid off. We're like, well, if you had chose to learn and level up, then there would be more opportunities for you. But at some point, companies are always looking to evolve. They're always looking to be how to be more efficient. So if they find a way to get rid of your job and save a good $60, $80, $100,000 a year, and you refuse to get better so you could outlast the other people, then that's all on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Let's see. Mr. Go says, I have people on my team like that, Junior. We all have people like that. Roxy says, why learn Python when there is Canva? Well, if I'm understanding the Canva that you're referring to correctly, Python is a coding language and Canva, from my understanding, is a graphic design platform. So they would be two totally different things that they don't do the same thing. So, and you would learn Python if you want to learn coding. That's probably one of the easier languages to start to learn. Canva is more if you want to do graphic designs, Photoshop, and stuff like that. So that would be the difference between the two. Junior says that to Ms. Records, they're the ones always complaining also. That's a fact. That is a fact, though. Ms. Records says, my manager has never done my job, so she is almost, keyword is almost useless. Let's see. And Mr. Chris says, I just let them complain and mind my business. I can't join in the negativities. That is a fact. Roxy says, Canva codes also. Okay, well, I am not familiar with Canva like that. If they code, then. But Canva is not a... You know what? Let me look at Canva real quick. What does Canva do? Canva coding. Let's see. Canva AI code generator. Can you paste your HTML code into Canva? Does Canva use Python? I guess it depends on what you're trying to create. If you're trying to create a website, maybe Canva can help. But Python is to build applications, more customizable. So it just depends on your purpose. It depends on the purpose that you're learning coding for. But I would not rely on a platform to build something. So to learn how to build something. So yeah, that's the best I can tell you. I didn't even know that Canva had any type of code. It looks like it does HTML, but that's the best I can say for that. All right. Last one. It says it's a union job and government funded, so they wouldn't get laid off. It's the subway system and NYCT MTA. Oh, well, you see, you just summoned Magnetar. Magnetar should be popping up at any second now because you mentioned government job, union job. Yeah. Well, I can't. I'm under obligation not to say anything negative about government union funded jobs. So it is what it is. All right. Let me get back to this comment right here from Wave Nerd. And let's see. So should programmers take problems they see? Let me answer this one. Let me go and put up let me store this one. All right, so should programmers take the problems they see in companies they work for and create an AI tool that automates a task or process, sell to the company? So I'm going, actually, I should have read that. Let me do it this way. Let's make that a question.
Another one.
Should programmers take the problems they see in companies they work for and create an AI tool that automates a task or process, sell to the company? Let's throw up 5 minutes on this one. All right. So I think that it is going to be very, very, very hard if you are working for the company and you create an AI tool for it and try to sell it to them, because they're going to say, well, you created this program that solves a problem while working at the company, so technically it should belong to us, especially if you're using their system. Now, if you're asking the question from the sense of you work for like you don't work for the company, but you notice a problem that they're having and you try to make it like a SaaS application where you can sell it as a software to different companies, and that's totally fine. The only complicated part is getting these companies to buy into your software, especially if you are if you're trying to put something together, it's a little bit more difficult. So in theory, the answer should be yes. You should fix. I mean, it's basically adding value. You identify a problem, and you solve the problem for a company. Now, companies, they look at a bunch of different things, as in what is the the cost, what is the size of your company, how much support are they going to get, what about like the data that's going to be, like what type of data is going to be transferred. A lot of logistical, business, contract stuff come into that, right? So there's dealing with that. There's actually making the sale to the company. So there's a lot of parts that are related to it, right? Totally possible. So to me, those are the two aspects of it. One aspect is if you're working for the company, it's going to be super, super, super hard to build something while working for them and then selling it to them, because they say, well, you're our employee. We're not going to buy something that technically could belong to us because you're building it based off of our intellectual property. That's what I would think in my mind. I could be off on that. And then the other aspect is if you are like your own company and you're building a SaaS product, but then you have to figure out what the problem the company is having and build it to that company and then convince them that they should buy it from you, which brings in a whole other complications, lawyers, legal, all that type of stuff. So companies buy software all the time. They buy out companies all the time if they really need their software and stuff like that. All I'm saying is it's complicated. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and building a SaaS solution that's going to solve a problem for many companies might be a little bit tricky itself. So it's possible. It might be very complicated. It might take a very, very long time. What I normally think of when looking into software and stuff like that is what general problems that people are experiencing, whether it's a company, whether it's individuals, and try to solve for that, as opposed to seeing what problem. Because I'll tell you this, I've solved many problems for many companies that I worked for, but I've also done it with knowing the ins and outs of their company, their software, their systems, and anything that I created while working for them is their intellectual property. And it's a lot of times it's part of the contract that you sign when you're working there. So that's why it becomes a little bit tricky to pull that off. So it really depends. It really depends on your contract. So yeah, that's the best I can do with that question. That's just, you know how some people on their relationship, on their profiles, they say it's complicated. Well, it's complicated if you can pull that off. If you can, and if you are your own company, own boss, and you sell a SaaS product to multiple companies and you bring in the money, awesome. Is it easy to pull that off? It is not easy at all. So that's my thoughts on it. That is hopefully that answers your question, Wave Nerd. All Alrighty then. So let's see. Let's get that off the screen. Timer's gonna run out. Just do that. All right, cool. All right, let me see. Get that off the screen too. All right, let me check the chat, and we will move on to our next question. Let's see. Miss Freckles says, summon magnetars. I'm telling you, every time I see, every time I mention the government jobs, federal jobs, and all of a sudden magnetar emerges. He's like, did somebody say government job? You know? Let's see. Roxy says, government is trying to kill the unions. Oh, I'm sorry. I that's my bad. I hit the wrong button. I'm kidding. I'm a huge fan of unions. Let's move on. Junior says, that's the best thing to do. Ignore and move on. We got Dell Finchick in the building. 100% in contract as explained. You work for us. All your product is our IP. That's true, especially if you are doing it on, because guess what? Your work computer, your laptop, it's all connected into their system. So if you're able to like build some AI tool integrated in their system, it's all theirs. So if you are going to be building something, it has to be totally separate from, has to be on your own computer. It has to be on like outside of their domain totally in order for you to and I don't even know if I'd even try to sell the company that I'm working for something back that I built for. It's not an easy thing to pull off. Wave Nerd says, or an agent that does their job. Now, something you could do, which might be not easy, but if you were to like, I don't even know how you do it, but like, let's say you own it, but you're not like, I don't even know. It's so hard to, because technically like it would be unethical in my eyes, because let's say you know what it is, but you have someone else sell it to them, but you built it. I don't know. It's just, you could give somebody else the idea to do it, and then I don't know. It's just tricky, and the amount of time that it takes to build it, the company might have figured it out already. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It is hard to say. Ms. Circle says, I've noticed that they aren't as negative with me anymore. Maybe because I don't feed into it to validate it. That is a fact. I mean, I think, I'll tell you this, Ms. Freckles. A lot of people, they're looking for allies, especially in negativity. Negative people are always looking for allies to join the negativity club. So when you are positive and you're looking for solutions and things like that, then they're like, why am I even going to bother complaining to them? Because they're just going to like, they're not going to take it seriously. Like they're just going to be, oh, they're going to find the bright side to everything. So if I want to be miserable, which most people do, then why would I go towards positive people? Because they're only going to try to bring me up when I'm trying to bring them down. So that's probably why they don't go to you. Because if you're being Mrs. Positive, then they're like, you know what? If I go to Miss Freckles, she's just going to try to cheer me up and make me feel better. And I don't want to feel better.
They ain't believing us.
Wave Nerd said, great response. Thank you, Wave Nerd. Let's see. Miss Freckles says, you should have to be careful not to violate the contract while at the same time knowing it may definitely be their property. Exactly. And that's the tricky part. And some places, even after you leave, they will say, well, you can't, it's like a non-compete. You can't dabble in this industry for like 2 years. So it's tricky. It is tricky. Let's see. Wave Nerd is laughing. And Mr. says, Magnetar has the government radar to see it. Oh, he sure does. I'm telling you, like, He's probably like can't get to. He's probably listening but can't get to his phone. He's like, ooh, I can't wait to get to the computer, to get to the phone, so I can let them know about the unions and the government roles, because we will not be. Magnus probably like this right now. He's probably like this.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
Every time Magnus comes after me for the government, that's how I feel. I hear them saying that to me. All right. Anyways, let's not talk about Magnus until he gets here. Once he gets here, then we will definitely talk about him. All right. But until then, we're going to get to our very, very next question of the night.
Another one.
I got blindsided by a pip, and not the type of blindside like the movie with Sandra Bullock, although that was an amazing, amazing movie, The Blind Side. But blindsided by I got blindsided with a performance improvement plan, and I am feeling totally, totally crushed. Should I just quit or try to ride it out? All right. So I found out I'm getting put on a PIP starting Wednesday, and honestly, I'm still trying to process it. There was zero feedback about my Q1 performance until my manager randomly told me last Monday that I needed to step up and be more strategic. I was like, okay, vague, but sure, let's work on this. Then he followed up with an email copying HR and, of course, saying my work quality was poor. It was trash. Well, he didn't say, I added trash, but that's what poor means. And that I missed deadlines, stuff he never mentioned in our convos. Felt super shady. All right, I have a question for you guys in the chat. If I was your manager, right, and I gave you a deadline. So let's say I say, Ms. Freckles, I need you to finish this report by today's Tuesday, the 29th, by next Tuesday, whatever day. I think that next Tuesday is the 6th or something like that. So I need it by next Tuesday, the 6th, before we start our show, right? And then you deliver it, but you deliver it on the 8th. Do I need to tell you that you missed a deadline? Or do we need to have a conversation that say, hey, Ms. Freckles, you missed the deadline? Or do you just know that you missed the deadline? Is it shady for not telling you? You should, you missed the deadline, all right? You know you've been missing deadlines, all right? So come on, all right. It says, I didn't reply right away because I was swamped, and then Thursday I get pulled into a meeting with him and HR about officially being placed on a PIP. Absolutely gutting. All right, so here's my advice for you guys, right? If you get an email telling you that you suck at your job, don't delay answering the email saying that you suck at your job. Respond right away. Say, can we have a conversation or something like that? You don't let it linger. Okay. So I'm just saying. All right. Did they say when? Let me see if it said when they were. Then he followed up. So last Monday, he said you need to step up. Then he sent an email to HR, all right, following the timeline about you missing deadlines and stuff that he never mentioned in your conversations. But you didn't reply right away, and then Thursday you get pulled into HR. So between Monday and he sent an email between Monday and Thursday, you never responded to the email, and then you get pulled into a meeting with HR about being placed on a PIP, all right? To make things worse, today my senior director, my manager's boss, literally asked my colleague to take over my current project in front of me.
Bruh.
No subtlety at all? That felt like the final nail in the coffin. At first, I thought I would fight it, prove them wrong, and come out stronger. But after that stunt, I just feel disrespected and humiliated. I'm seriously considering quitting. Thing is, I have a 60-day notice period in India. And while my husband is super supportive, shout out to the supportive husbands out there, I've been job hunting for months with no luck. The market sucks right now, and we're also in the middle of buying a house. So quitting without a backup would hit our savings hard. I don't do well with risk, and I'm not one of those lucky land a job in a week types. Apparently not, because if you're missing deadlines and your manager is sending emails saying how bad you are, and they're ripping you off of projects and putting somebody else on them right in front of you, definitely not a land a job in a week type person. I also suck at confrontations, and my manager has a stellar rep while I don't. Well, missing deadlines does kind of hurt your reputation, but staying here feels like torture. I feel invisible, disrespected, and just done. Would love to hear thoughts from folks who've been through something similar. Do I stick it out and try to job hunt during my notice, or do I just cut my losses and protect my sanity? Well, let's start our timer on this one. The very, very, very first thing that I will say to you before you do anything, before you ask random people on the internet what you should do about the situation is, all right, you guys might not like it, but talk to your husband first. Say, hey, I want to quit my job. And if he says, hell to the nah, then you stay and you stick it out for the 60 days until they kick you out. If he's like, okay, cool, we're good, then you go about that. But here's the deal. Either way, you have 60 days anyways, because if you're on a PIP for 60 days and if you have to put in a 60-day notice, you might as well make the most of your 60 days, right? Because it sounds like you'll get fired one way or the other. But I think the number one thing you need to do first is get out of your feelings.
Bruh.
You gotta get out of your feelings, all right? I think, like, kind of like we were talking about a little bit earlier, I think a lot of people are expecting their bosses, their workplace to be their friends, to have empathy for them, to understand what they're going through. And while a lot of companies try to do that, they think it's, hip and cool. Number one, I don't think a company is required to do that. Number two, at the end of the day, the bottom line of the company still comes first, right? The priorities of the company is being successful, is their purpose, not you who is doing a so-so job, right? A so-so job, I must say, all right? So now what I would say is if you want to try to save your job, right? That's a big if. I would say that you need to, number one, respond to your manager's emails. Number two, set up a meeting with your manager and say, look, Mr. or Mrs. Manager, I think it's a guy, you said your manager is. I know that you need to take accountability for how much of a terrible job you've been doing. Number two, so accountability, admitting it and say, okay, I want to do better. Can you help me? What do I need to do to be successful here? Right? Simple as that. What do I need to do to be successful here? And let them lay out the blueprint for you. And once they lay out that blueprint for you, you go above and beyond every single point on that. And you make sure you meet with your manager every single week. And I would throw this on there. If you want to try to get out of PIP, is it easy to get out of PIP? Absolutely not. Because normally a PIP is with all due respect, what a PIP normally is you know how when you're entering into some buildings, how they have like two sliding doors that open and you're like in that middle room of the entrance, right? So basically the PIP is going to be that little middle room where you're waiting for one door to open and the other door. So when you first walk into a company, right, you're putting on that 90-day probation. So you're like in the middle door for that company. And then the other door, so after the 90 days, you go into the full company and everything like that. The PIP is the opposite. Like when you're on your way out, you're in that middle door. But guess what? I think that it's possible to be saved, but you need to want it, and you need to work closely with your manager saying, okay, give me the blueprint. What do I need to do? You need to excel at it, and you need to set up don't let your manager do it. You need to say, all right, can we have weekly meetings, and can I send you daily updates of all of the things that I'm accomplishing, and show all the ways that you are adding value to the company. Why, although you sucked for a very, very long time, you are trying to change that, and you want to make it. Let go of your feelings, and guess what? If they took the project away from you and gave it to another person, that's probably because the other person, like, you were doing a good job. And instead of crying in the car, like, what was his name in Friday who went to cry in the car? Whatever his name was, right? Instead of crying in the car like him, you need to ask, what can I do? What can I do? Like, what did I do wrong, and how can I make it better? See, a lot of things are resolved with a conversation, but it's so hard to have a conversation when people hear what it is that they want to hear instead of what is actually being communicated to them. So when you have good listening skills, active listening skills, you can extract what the message is trying to be communicated to you, and then you can respond appropriately, and you can move accordingly so that you can be successful. All right. So do I think it's over with a PIP? It's not over, but it's over for a lot of people because they take the defeated mindset instead of saying, okay, you know what? I know that I've been messing up. I know I haven't been doing my best, and they're giving me the opportunity to turn it around. What can I do? Most people don't survive a PIP because they have the wrong mindset, and the companies know it. So they're we're just crossing the T's and dotting the I's to get them out. But if you start doing an amazing job adding unbelievable value, you can turn that around. All right. So those are my thoughts. Let's wrap that question up. All right, let's check the chat to see what we got going on over here. Let's see. Ms. Freckles says, missing deadlines is the number one no-no. Exactly. Ms. Freckles says, no need to tell me I missed the deadline. I would know and address it before the deadline was up. See, there you go. Because you're like, all right, and you're going to give an explanation, right, Mr. You're going to say, okay, this is supposed to be due on next week, Tuesday, but like on, let's say, some people will send an email on Sunday afternoon, maybe on Friday, saying, look, this is where I'm at with it. By Tuesday, I don't think I'm going to get to all of this, but this is what I'll have. If you give me an additional day or two, I can get you this information. I can be completely done, but I can give you on Tuesday up to here. And a lot of times by communicating that way, you buy yourself grace, you buy yourself time, and you're just not like totally blowing past a deadline. Like there's no accountability. So exactly. And I know for a fact, Mr. Chris, that's what you would do. Here says, they sound like the government workers who didn't answer the email from Elon. What? That's a good point. That is a good point. Mr. Chris says, sounds like emotions need to be removed from the situation. I'm telling you, you are 100% right, Ms. Freckles. And Junior says, she said, I just want to be heard. I just want to be heard. That's exactly what you said, Junior. Rex says, have a good show, Techotrough. Work needs me. You have a wonderful, wonderful night. Be careful out there. Roxy, you rock the scrubs like the boss that you are. Thank you so much for tuning in, Roxy.
We the best.
And Junior says, who did Anton put on a PIP again? Well, Junior, if I recall, I mean, there was quite a few, but if I recall correctly, the person that you're referring to might be called True to Myself. But I'm not going to be out here gossiping on True to Myself being put on a PIP over about 2 years ago. And till this day, Mitch, how does it go? Till this day, still on that PIP, no site. I think it's going to be a perpetual PIP. It's going to be a perpetual PIP.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Let's see. All right, there we go. Let me get a drink real quick. I'm just, you know what, Junior.
I was gonna lie to you, but I had to tell the truth. I'm just being honest.
I'm just being honest. All right, let's get to our next question. Enough fun and games. Let's get to our next question.
Another one.
Applied to 750 jobs. Here are my results. So this one, I'm gonna put the timer as I read through it. This person is basically saying in their 750 applications, what type of results that they had from what companies, things like that. I just wanted to read through it. It's not really, and give feedback and commentary in between. So I'm just gonna put the 5 minutes on there and we'll see how that goes. But I don't think there's really a question there for us to answer. So let's go ahead and start that. So this one says, I applied to over 750 jobs, got offers from Citadel, X, and Apple, and here's what I learned. So first off, I want to preface by saying that the market is not a normal job market, especially for computer science. I applied purely for software engineering and software engineering adjacent roles, so it was quite a brutal hiring season, but I am delighted to say I have amazing offers from Citadel. I never heard of Citadel. Who is Citadel? Let me see. Who is Citadel? Citadel is... Anybody know who Citadel is? We are alternative investment management working on behalf of the world's preeminent institutions. Is that who Citadel is? No, that's a university. I'm not sure. Citadel Securities? Maybe that's what they are. Maybe Citadel is for money. All right, so X and Apple. I want to share my thoughts on the whole process along with some tips and tricks for others out there grinding it out. Grinding. Remember that? You guys remember that song by the Clips? Grinding? Say some thoughts and tips. Volume matters more than you think. I used to think quality over quantity was enough. Truth is you need both, especially in this market. Companies are ghosting left and right. Even incredible applications get lost in the void. Apply broadly and don't overthink each individual application. I somewhat agree with that. Depending on the company that you're applying for, you might want to put a little bit more effort into the application than others, but you do want to apply for jobs because the issue that happens is that so many people are applying for the same jobs that it is easy for your application to get lost in the thousands of people who are applying for the same jobs. So based on the job description, you might want to put a little bit more effort into an application than other applications. But I always tell the people that I'm coaching, go out there and apply. And we're always adjusting, catering our resumes, reviewing the job description. But a lot of times you use the same resume over and over and over again. But if it's a really promising position, then we try to make some minor tweaks and adjustments. All right. Tailor just enough, but not too much. I lightly tweak my resume and cover letters depending on the role type. Exactly what I said. For example, backend versus machine learning, but I didn't painstakingly customize every application. It's not scalable. Yep. Focus your energy where it actually matters. Coding, interviews, referrals. Exactly. Referrals are gold, but not everything. Referrals definitely helped me get interviews at a few places, but 90% of my interviews came from cold applications. I agree with that. And another way that they come is, I think a lot of people have crappy LinkedIn profiles. The past 2 companies that I worked for, it was recruiters on LinkedIn who reached out to me, and based on my LinkedIn profile, which kind of mimicked my resume, and that's how they said, "Hey, I got this opportunity here, and I got that opportunity there." To this day, I'm always getting reached out to by LinkedIn recruiters based on my my LinkedIn profile. So I think a lot of people underestimate how powerful their LinkedIn profile is and having it match towards their resume. But if your resume sucks, then your LinkedIn profile probably sucks as well. And I'll tell you this, do not go whining and complaining on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is supposed to be a professional platform. So every time I see somebody running in the victim Olympics on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh my God.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Lead code helps, but projects and fundamentals help more. Lead code grinding is important, but I found that deeply understanding system design, computer science fundamentals, and having real high quality projects mattered even more, especially at top companies. I have been telling you guys this for 2 years now. You know what? The month of May, the end of May is going to make 2 years since I've been had this channel and been going live on this channel. I think I opened this channel April of 2023. Was it 2023? Was it? Yeah, I think it was April of 2023. And I've been saying the same thing, right? Let's see. It says, expect rejections. It's part of the process. I got rejected or ghosted from hundreds of companies, even some I thought I was a perfect fit for example, Capital One. Don't take it personally. 100% agree. All it takes is one offer to change everything. In my case, I ended up with 3, not 1, not 2, but 3, even when I thought all was lost. Organize your applications early. Use a spreadsheet, Notion, or whatever tool works for you. Tracking deadlines, interview stages, and follow-ups made my life so much easier once things got, ramping up. I talk about tools a little later down if you want to check them out. So when I was applying for jobs, I had a spreadsheet where I would add and you know what? I will share my spreadsheet in the Patreon. I'll make a video about how I got, like, when I was looking for a job, what I did. But I had a spreadsheet and I said, all right, what's the name of the job? Do I have a contact person there? What stage, what date did I apply? When did I follow up? What stage are we at? And I just track it that way. And that was very, very helpful. Just set realistic goals and pace yourself. I aimed for 10 to 20 applications per day during heavy application seasons. Some days were less, some days were more. Consistency beats burning out in 1 week. Some tools that I found helpful: Simplify Chrome extension for faster applications. LinkedIn job alerts, surprisingly good if you check them consistently. The only drawback is that some of those are ghost listings and you have to apply right when it comes out. Otherwise, you can't expect much. So that means if you're looking for a job and LinkedIn sends you an email, apply right away. Notion for organizing application status. I used Notion religiously when it came to tracking my apps. I think that this was phenomenal advice. Pretty much everything that they said here, I have done it or some version of it. And when I'm coaching people, I'm also taking them down that pathway as well to cater your resume when necessary, but you have to continue to apply. And you never know who is going to reach out to you, and you might have amazing opportunities that lie ahead. So shout out to that one. That one is absolutely amazing. I loved every last bit of it. All right, let's wrap that one up. And let's check the chat to see what we got going on. Let's see. Miss Freckles says, for the PIP girl or lady, setting weekly goals and sharing the progress on them with management would probably be a value add as well. I agree 100% with you, Miss Freckles. I think we need to be a little bit more transparent. That's why for me, I like a lot of people, they don't like how many meetings are in the agile process, but I love daily. When I ask, what would you say is the most important Scrum ceremony? Some people would say, the planning. Some people would say the retro, the sprint review. But for me, it's always been the daily stand-up, the daily Scrum meeting, because it keeps everybody on the same page. Okay, this is what you're working on. This is where we're at. Sharing, like setting a goal, a daily goal and stuff like that. So I really agree with that, Ms. Freckles. Let's see. Ms. Freckles says, grinding, beat across every lunch table in America. That's a fact, though. That's a fact. Junior says, y'all better stay in line than grinding. Miss Freckles, grinding. See, luckily my singing is so bad that I cannot get flagged for saying that. Miss Freckles says, my LinkedIn needs some TLC. LC. Oh, well, Miss Freckles, send me your LinkedIn. Send me your LinkedIn. Miss Freckles, let's be friends on LinkedIn, and I will give you some feedback on your LinkedIn. Miss Freckles says, happy anniversary on your 3rd year since it's 2027 already. That's hilarious, Miss Freckles. That's hilarious. I was wondering why you said 3rd year, and I was like, she must be talking about 2026, 2027. Good one. We got Maddox in the building. What's up, Maddox? Says hello, team. Hello, Maddox on the Twitch side of the game. Maddox is always holding me down on Twitch. I appreciate you, Maddox. Says, what is the plan for the day? I mean, setting that like you let them know. So the way that my team works, we do it just slightly differently. So we do instead of saying what did we do yesterday, what are we planning on doing today, what is our obstacles, for each person, we talk about it on a ticket basis, and we say what is the goal for this ticket, and at the end of the day we have an end of day update on if we accomplished our goals or where we're at, what we learned, if we're stuck on anything. Well, and then the next day in our daily scrum meeting, we'll talk about, okay, what is it that we're looking to accomplish for the day, and we set a goal on that. And then we say if we have any obstacles, if we need to talk to any other team, stuff like that. All right. So, yep, definitely. And Junior says, y'all enjoy the rest of the show. Bible study time. Thank you so much, and enjoy your Bible study. And Junior says, Tim Freckles, you as well. And yes, that beat was definitely a lunchroom table beat grind. Ms. Freckles says, my manager leaves me alone more. The more I share with her my accomplishments and where I am at. Exactly. You got the formula. You got the formula, Ms. Freckles. Let's see. Anya? So does my resume. I hear that. Let's see. Mr. Freckles says, another pop quiz to flunk. I will add you to my LinkedIn. Miss Freckles, when you flunk those pop quizzes, you show up for the exam and you crush it. All right. So the pop quizzes are just for your own benefit, because I know those pop quizzes get you ready for the exam. And because how much is a pop quiz worth? Like 5 points? How much is an exam worth? Like 30 points. So that's why I give you the pop quizzes, so you can be ready for the actual exam. You will learn that I am not the best pronunciator, and a lot of times when words have more than 2 syllables, my dear friend Miss Freckles has to sound it out for me, and then I have to look like a fool saying Anya on the channel. So it happens all the time. So shout out to you. Thank you so much for being here as well. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
All right, let's get to our next question of the night. Y'all gotta stop picking on me. All right, All right, let's get to the next one.
Another one.
Quitting right after starting. Oh my goodness. All right, what is this one says? Has anyone quit a job right after starting? Any advice? Has anyone here given notice shortly after starting a new job? I recently joined a company, but ended up getting another offer that's a much better fit. Now I'm debating whether to resign, but honestly, I feel super embarrassed about doing it so soon after starting. Part of me is considering staying out of guilt or fear or burning bridges. Did somebody say burning bridges?
I used to roam those crowded streets where all the ghosts I know, but I'm a torch to every bridge, ain't scared to let them go. I got my past in the rear view mirror, all the voices couldn't be any clearer. They say don't burn bridges, don't you dare. I got dynamite, I just don't care. Blow them up.
All right, that's enough of that. That is enough of that. Anyways, Anyways, the company is well known in my industry, and I'm worried about damaging my reputation. You're only 17. You don't have a rep yet. You guys remember that? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Especially because they reached out to a former manager of mine without telling me before offering me the role. Anyone else been in a similar situation? How did it go? What did you do? So let's start a timer, right? So I have not been in a situation where I actually started a role and then I got another offer. However, I have been in a situation where the offer was made to me, and then out of desperation, the other company made me an offer to like, oh, we really want you. We'll do X, Y, and Z for you. And I was like, no, I already accepted the offer. And I'm so happy that I stuck to that, right? But in your particular situation, I would say that if it is just a few days into it, if everything at the at the company that made you the offer after you already started this other role is that much better, if it's more money, if it's more convenient, if it's more flexible, if it's more to your lifestyle, I'm gonna have to be honest with you, right? I'm gonna have to be honest. What is that?
I'm just being honest.
You have to go to that new company, because you will, if you stay at the company that you accepted the offer for, you're gonna be so miserable working there because you know that you passed up where you really wanted to be. You know that you're only there out of spite and not wanting to be embarrassed, but you're unhappy because you know that this is not going to be a good example, but it's kind of like if I don't want to use this example. Well, now that I've thought about it, I have to use it, although it's not going to be a good idea. But you ever been in a relationship or married or something like that, and then it's like, oh, I should have married this other person as well, and instead, ooh, that's a terrible example. Now you resent the person for a long time, and it doesn't even work out. I'm telling you, like, jobs are very similar to relationships. Oh my God, that was a terrible. Let's just scratch that from the record, all right? No, but seriously, like, I would say, especially when it comes to work, right? Because when it comes to work, if you just start, it's like getting an annulment. And a lot of times, let's say it's like a week into it, he's like, oh, you know what? This is not going to work out for me. They're going to be like, okay, cool, just go. The part that does suck for the company is that they invested a lot of time and money into hiring you. So it does suck for them, but it's better. The faster you quit, the cheaper it's going to be for them, and they can move on faster. But if you stay there for like 3 months and I can't do this anymore, and you quit, then they are going to hate you. So I would say that you would early on get out of there, go to where you want to be and where you think you're going to be happy. All right. That's my thoughts on it. You're gonna do a terrible job if you're somewhere that you don't want to be. So resign. They're not gonna like it because they invested a lot of time into you, but it's better to sever that relationship early and move on. And here's the thing, right? If you're gonna be at this new place for a long time, then it doesn't really matter about your reputation because you're already hired. So if they're going to talk bad about you, you're already hired. So what gives at that point? Now, if they're able to sabotage you, that's a whole different story. If they can sabotage you and say, after you're about to start at the new company and they say, oh yeah, they call them, oh yeah, this person, they started with us and they quit and now they don't want you there, that's a whole nother story. But if you already hired, you already have the offer and you're good to go, maybe try keeping it a secret. But I would say if it's already in your mind to get an annulment from that company that hired you to go to another company who might be a nicer, younger, hotter company, then do it now instead of waiting and being miserable and causing a bunch of misery and trouble and heartache to this company that you don't want to be at in the first place. So while it's early, take care of it now instead of being in a situation that nobody wants to be in. All right, that was a terrible. Why did I use that example? Oh my God. What was that? What was I thinking? All right, let's see. Where are we? All right, so Miss Freckles, my right hand saying, if unanya. Oh, if unanya. Okay. See, Miss Freckles, you are a lifesaver. If Wanya. Okay, I got it. Thank you, Miss Freckles. Thank you. See, thank you. Oh, my goodness. Miss Freckles says, I'm always on a roll. Miss Freckles is my lifesaver, right? Miss Freckles says, fire, bridges falling down. You gotta do what you gotta do. All right, I'm gonna bear with me for a second. Let me make sure I say it right. Where is it? Ifuanya says, you really tried. It's an African Nigerian name. Okay. It's going to take me some time. It is going to take me some time to get it right. Ms. Becker says, I guessed it was something like that, but I could not put it together. Says, that is life advice, not just professional. I'm just saying. Ms. Becker says, yikes. Delphinchick says, agree with CCR. Go for that offer. Do the best you can do. Never settle for second place, especially if it's early. I wouldn't want it to go in 3 months into it, and then you get because I've seen like we've hired people 3 months into it. We've invested a lot of time, a lot of money training them, and then they're like, oh, I'm out. I got another offer, and now we have to start over from zero. Don't feel bad if you have to leave early, because if you stay and then you leave, you're just gonna make our life miserable. So, if Wanya, I think I got it. Says it's real. Delphinchick says, staying in toxic relationships, it's deadly. Literally. Mr. says, I quit Forever 21 after my first day. Got hired at Hooters and never showed. Miss Freckles, that escalated quickly. I was in high school and changed my ways after those two. Hooters hires high school kids? That seems a bit weird. Says, it was a great example. It says, you can call me Favor as well. That's my... All right, you should have... Favor, you should have led with that. Thank you for making my life so much easier. Favor it is. Oh, thank that's, oh my, it's okay. Favor says, oh my, it's okay. I'm gonna practice off stream so I'm just gonna read Miss Freckles' message like 100 times and practice it, and then I'm gonna surprise you when you show up. Maybe not the next time, maybe not the time after that, but maybe next week I'm gonna nail it. So just watch. But until then, it's gonna be Favor. All right, it's gonna be Favor until then. Oh my goodness. Mr. says, I lived in the country Kansas at the time. I had no boobs, but great. Oh my goodness, Mr. Freckles. I mean, you a track star, all right? So I'm gonna get it. I promise you, I am gonna get it. You're gonna be like, wow, he really got it. But I can't promise you when though. It's gonna be a surprise, all right? So make sure you continue to tune in, all right? Okay. Let's continue on to the next. I'm getting myself out of trouble here. Let's continue on to the next question. Let's move on.
Another one.
New hire requesting PTO, personal time off. Okay, let's see what's going on here. What is going on over here? So, new hire requesting PTO. Started a new job about a week ago. Upon the offer, I did mention I had vacation scheduled for the summer, and it was completely understood with enthusiasm. Where's my enthusiasm sound? It was completely understood with enthusiasm that I should have a work-life balance. Work-life balance? What's that? For these conditions, as new hires, they advance 40 hours of PTO. Do they now? Okay. I asked a coworker today to show me how to request time off. Upon the tutorial, she showed me a team calendar where you can see everyone's PTO. She mentioned she hopes it's not over the same time her and our other team member requested. Lo and behold, of course it is. She's requesting Monday and Tuesday for her birthday, and he's requesting Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. My vacation is simply Monday through Friday. I dodged the question of what day do you need. I'm sure we can move stuff around. I continue to avoid the question as I did not want to say the whole week, and she suggested that maybe we talk about it with our boss tomorrow. To be fair, I totally see their side and how a new hire already needs a week off, but that's the whole reason the hours are advanced, and who knew I was gonna get the job. Anyone have advice on how to navigate this conversation tomorrow? I literally feel like they're gonna hate me, but simply the trip to Mexico is booked and paid. Clarification. She didn't ask for the dates. I didn't disclose it was a week. I started 4 days ago and the HR process took a while. My vacation is mid-May.
Bruh.
Whew. Okay, that's a tough one. So let's put up our timer. That is tricky. That's tricky because upon getting hired and already having that conversation, and you already had your tickets booked before you even got hired, it was understood that you had PTO scheduled to take. And I don't really care about the 40 hours requested time off, because there's many people who start at a company and they don't have any PTO accrued, but being that it was understood that they had upcoming time off, they might just not get paid for that time, they'll get the hours that they worked, but the issue is that your teammates were already scheduled to be out. However, now that I think about it, there's two different aspects to this, right? The first aspect is, if you didn't get hired at all, then there would be no one covering while they were out in the first place, right? So being that you just recently got hired, like 4 days into it, and you already had a time off scheduled, they were going to have to make do without you if you didn't get hired in the first place. The other thing is that if that coworker is out Monday and Tuesday, that means the other coworker who's out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be they're going to be working on Monday and Tuesday. And then when they come back, the other coworker is going to be gone, but they will be there for for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I don't see that as much of a problem. Your vacation, tickets booked, already scheduled, yada, yada, yada. So I don't think there's much that they can do about that. I think that you need to approach this conversation with your boss. I don't even think the other person is really necessary for this conversation. It's really between you and your boss that, look, when I accepted this role, this offer I spoke about, I had upcoming PTO. You should have told them in advance though, before you even got hired. Say, hey, I got this week already scheduled off. Is that okay? But either way, what's done is done. But what you're gonna do now is say, okay, I had this already paid for, booked. I'm not gonna be able to be here during that week. Being that they give you the advanced PTO, they're gonna pay you for it. But even if they weren't, saying like, I would be okay with not getting paid for it, but I'm not gonna miss my trip, especially when it sounds like it's a trip that multiple people have been planning. So for you to say, oh, I just got this job, I can't go on this trip that's already paid for, it doesn't, like, companies should understand that and be more accommodating to that. So I think the company is going to have to that team is going to have to deal with you not being there in the first place. Because if you didn't get hired, it's like 4 days into it. So I wouldn't care. Like I would be more than happy to say, like, if it's, oh, hopefully, if they told me, hopefully it's not during like the week that we have booked, I'm like, hopefully it's not. But if it is, oh well.
Bruh.
We're just gonna have to figure it out. But I don't think that they should have to cancel their plans. I don't think the other person should have to cancel their plans. And I don't think you should have to cancel your plans either. It's just is something that you planned before you even started at the company. They could have, like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Oh, because are they gonna like fire you? Because they said, because this person had plans before we hired them, and they have to totally cancel their entire life because we just hired them. It does not work that way. If they were willing to put in the time to interview you, to make you the offer, they're not gonna cancel you. Another thing. How much work, how much value can you actually bring by being there after a couple of weeks on the job? It takes like a good 2 to 3 months to really get into the feel of how the company works. So if you're missing a week after that they already agreed to at the very beginning of you working there, it is not the end of the world. I think that they're going to need to learn how to deal with it, how to figure it out. This is not the first time that this happened at a company. This is not going to be the last time it happened at a company. I don't think you should really I'll tell you this. A lot of times your coworkers have a bunch of thoughts and opinions and stuff like that, while the managers, they're not even thinking about that. That's the last thing on their mind about, oh, okay, the scheduling conflict between the PTO for this new person and stuff like that. They're like, okay, like you go to your manager, okay, I need to get this day off. These people told me that they're off during that time, but this was already scheduled. They'd be like, okay, cool, whatever. Put it in the system and you go about your business. 9 times out of 10, that's how it works. So I would not be really concerned with it. I wouldn't really care what my coworker said. The company was going to figure it out, right? That is the job of the company to figure it out, especially if they hired you with the understanding that you had upcoming PTO anyways, all right? That is my thought. Let's wrap that question up. All right, let's see what we got in the chat. Ms. Freckles says, unlimited PTO is nice, but I still don't like to use it. Ms. Freckles, unlimited PTO. I think it's smart. I think it's smart on the company's part, because most people don't use all their PTO in the first place. And I don't know if it's law, but most companies, like when you have accrued a certain amount of PTO, let's say a company gives you 120 hours of PTO a year, right? And you don't use all those 120 hours. If they fire you, if they lay you off, whatever, they're supposed to pay you out that PTO, right? However, most times, if you have unlimited PTO, there's nothing to actually pay you out because you're not accruing any particular PTO. And most people, they don't come close to taking. Most people take about 2 weeks a month, a year, right? When you add it all up, it might be 2 weeks of vacation time. Maybe if some push it 3 weeks. but usually it's like a day here, 2 days here. It's rare that people are gonna take like a whole week off. They might do it like once a year, maybe twice a year, and then in between they're doing like maybe a Friday here, a Monday there, a Wednesday, stuff like that. Or when there's like a holiday, they'll add an additional PTO day and stuff like that. So in order for these companies not to have to make a huge payoff, they just get, you know what, you got limited PTO as long as there is good notice and availability and stuff like that. So that unlimited PTO, it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky. It says, don't ask coworkers for help next time.
Bruh.
Keep your business to yourself. Mr. Gordon says, facts. Techo Drive. Oh, well, if it blows up, then management should have planned better. Yep. I agree with that. I agree with that. Favor says, agreed. By the way, Favor, that is a cool middle name. Favor is I've never heard of a middle name Favor before. I got Rod Brown calling in. Let me answer Rod Brown and then I'll continue with the chat and then we will have our conversation. What's up, Rod Brown? Give me a sec. Let me just finish reading the chat and then I'm gonna bring you up. All right. Let's see. Mr. Circle says, 2 of my coworkers saw how much sick time I had and they about fell over. I'm planning to do better with taking trips and utilizing my PTO. Let's see. Delphinchick says, that's the clear example where communication is king. Probably the whole situation is not worth 5 minutes of the manager's time. I agree 100% with that. And Favor says, thank you. I'm just being honest, right? All right. We have my guy, Rod Brown, in the building. So let me go ahead and pull Rod Brown up on the screen. Let's see. Boom. What's up, Rod Brown? How are you doing tonight?
Good evening. How y'all doing?
I am doing absolutely phenomenal, Rod Brown.
All right. Do I sound okay? I'm trying to make sure I got my right mic set in.
You sound great, Rod Brown.
I sound great. All right.
Before we get started as well, I just want to say congratulations on all your success on the channel and all the very, very helpful messages that you are putting out there to inspire and motivate people. You are awesome, Rod Brown.
Much appreciated, and I appreciate your support as well. I will have to say that you are the one that kind of motivated me to, do what I'm doing right now. So shout out to you for giving me that push over the edge. So
I mean, if you want to say that I was annoying you to do it, then I will gladly accept that as a compliment. But do you see the growth that you had from January to now?
I sure do. I really
That's
do.
crazy. That is crazy.
I was looking at it the other day and looking at the numbers, and I was just like, wow, it's only up from here. So, but I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you most definitely. I appreciate all my tech barbarians for, having my back and looking at my videos and, and also giving me feedback to pretty much just say if I'm saying something right, if I'm not saying anything right. But at the end of the day, I just want to create a community that's, that's for everybody. We're all on the same path together. So, but I appreciate everyone.
And I don't think you're saying anything right or wrong. I think you're just stimulating the conversation to give your input and see what other people think and have because I think a lot of times, a lot of people, they like to live in an echo chamber, and when somebody says something that they don't agree with, and they just start to crash out and start.
Right.
And I'm like, it's just perspective,
Right.
So I for me personally, I love when people disagree with me. It just gives me a chance to show them why they're wrong. I'm just kidding.
Listen, and I'm glad that you pointed that out because we live in a time where it's just like everybody has to take a hard stance on something, and unfortunately maybe we don't necessarily have to take a hard stance. The hard stance would be in, the particular topic that we're talking about, or the particular faith that we live on. But at the same time, I don't necessarily have to take a particular stance if it goes against, what I'm particularly talking about. So, but I appreciate you for pointing that out, because that's kind of the thought process that I'm looking at. Because at the end of the day, mistakes, right or wrong, no mistakes, did you make a mistake, we're all pretty much the same. We're all everyday people. Like, nobody's better than anybody. So,
I'm better than most people. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
except I'm better than Mitch, but don't tell him to say that. Right?
Idiot. Speaking of,
I knew he was coming around. I knew he was somewhere.
anyhow, so the reason I wanted to talk to you, right? Because the video that you made today, right? Let me put this topic up real quick. So you made a video today about Shador Sanders, about God. It was all God's timing that got him into the 5th round. What number pick was he? Like some 50 something?
155, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was 50. Yeah, 155. Yeah. And so I was thinking about that, and I was also thinking about, because in the corporate world, we have this thing called being the right cultural fit. Are they a good fit for the company, for the program, for the team? And I thought it blended well with your topic of God wanted him to be the 155th pick of the draft.
Let me make sure I'm accurately correct on what his pick was.
I think you're right. 30 teams, 5 rounds, 100. Yeah, it's about 155. There's 32 teams, right? 5th round.
Yeah, 144. Sorry about
144,
that. 144.
okay.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, those 11 spots, that's pretty important.
Yeah, that's pretty important. So I guess your overall question that you wanted to discuss would be, is either necessarily either he or anybody else who's anybody going for a particular job, are you the right cultural fit, or is it just God's timing?
Yeah, because like when I was watching the video, after I watched it, I thought about, like, is it possible that he was also being humbled? So I don't know, because when I watch, I'm like, well, when you're talking about like God's timing, then it's like, I took your video from like more of a positive aspect, but when you go from like being self-proclaimed like number 1 pick, and then you're like barely the last pick, well, 144th pick out of 150 something, then it's like,
Well, I think you bring up a good point, and it can also correlate with the conversation of what you normally talk about on your show when it comes down to jobs and interviewing, and also helping people out to get where they need to be within the corporate space. I think there's 2 aspects to this, and to answer that question directly, 2 things can be true at the same time. Somebody can be humbled in their interviewing process, or aspiring to be where they need to be, and then also B, it just might not be the time for you, or the time that God has allowed for you to have that particular position that you thought it would be. So I want to deal with the aspect of being able to deal with this from a corporate standpoint, and then I'll deal with Shador. From a corporate standpoint, if you're going for an interview, and I'll probably say from my particular self, and I'm gonna use myself as an example, like you all know that I was interviewing for a director position, and I appreciate everybody's prayers and blessings on that. But I would say that when I went in for that interview position, or if you went in for that particular job, I felt confident, but let's not say Shador confident, right? And I'm gonna get there.
he didn't have a big.
But I'm gonna say, right. But I'm gonna say that I was confident enough, knowing that I had God at my side to be able to, walk me through it. But also B, I also felt like I had the knowledge, and I felt like it was my time to pretty much to be elevated into that next level, into that C-suite position. But as you all know, it wasn't my time. And maybe maybe the confidence that I eluded within that interviewing process, maybe the questions the way that I answer those questions, maybe the way that I carried myself. Hey, maybe my tie wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? I had a nice, floral tie on. I brought out, the best tie that I had in my wardrobe. Maybe that wasn't right. Who knows? But at the same time, I wasn't chosen, and so therefore, I'm not going to blame anybody, but I'm also going to take accountability and look at the things that I did wrong, look at the questions that I might not have answered properly in order for me to, get better and just say, it just wasn't my time. And it's going to be another opening. There's going to be another door that's going to open for me. And so a lot of people can kind of take that into perspective to just say that when you're going in for an interview process or when you're going in for that job that you know that you want, there's going to be a certain level of confidence, but also at the same time, you do want to also have that competence, right? You want to have the confidence and the competence. Now, going to the question that you asked for Shador, yes. Did Shador potentially be a little bit more headstrong, be a little bit more flashy like his father and stuff like that? Yeah, I'll agree with that. But at the same time, he did get into the door. I could see that he was projected to be drafted a certain ranking, right? And Mel Kiper, I can get all sports analytical because I'm all into sports. Mel Kiper, Kipper pretty much just said that he was being projected to be like first round or second round. Well, he fell to the fifth round. He was wrong before. Everybody was wrong before. And I go by the stance of at least he got into the door. At least he got his pinky toe into the door. So now that he can be humbled, he can learn. And this was the timing for him to either A, show himself for himself. So therefore he doesn't have anybody else backing him like his father. And then B, you could stand on your own 10 toes, but at least you got into the door. And I'm going to leave it at this and I'm going to let you answer. And I'm going to leave it for anybody else to think about this. He got into the door in fifth round. He's going to have to learn a lot of hard lessons. But at the same time, the GOAT of QBs in NFL, whether you like him or not, went round 8, and that was Tom Brady. And we see where that happened to him. All he needed was a door. The door opened. So 2 things can be true at the same time. He was arrogant, but also at the same time, it was God's timing to allow him to have that breakthrough in order for him to get into the door. So, yeah.
I think you kind of lose me at that very end about the God's
Hey.
timing.
It was. I mean, it's 2 things it's two things can be true at the same time.
So here's my question then. Like, if it was already anticipated for him to be drafted, right?
Correct.
Like, especially at a much higher rank or round level number, whatever, right? It's like, how is it God's timing when something that's supposed to happen technically happens?
Well, it didn't happen the way that you wanted it to happen. And what do I mean by that? Well, the little background that I checked out into, it was anticipated for him to go round 1. So therefore, that was the reason why he was at home. He had a whole setup over there. I think they had a Nike campaign that was already pre-built already with the couch. They kept on flashing to it for anybody who, paid attention to the draft. They had, they had a whole room set up for like this particular Nike campaign. And from my understanding, Nike also had ads ready to run as soon as he was drafted. Okay, they probably postponed it to round 2 or, whatever the case may be. Still didn't. So in his head, he was thinking that he was supposed to be number 1 because that's what everybody was saying. But he went 5.
And in God's
So-
head and in Cleveland's head, he was number 144.
Listen, He was
So-
supposed to go to
so-
the Saints.
okay.
He was supposed to go to these other teams, but at the same time, God said, no, you're going to go when I tell you to go because maybe there's a lesson that you need to learn
Okay,
before
so that's
you get
the
into
part I was asking. That was the part that I was asking because then it sounds like, okay, yeah, he was technically humbled, like, he was like on this super high horse, and it's like it's not what you think it's gonna be. That's what it sounds like to me.
And if you notice, and I wasn't there, nobody else was there, but the people who were there, you can tell that his spirit started to change. Night 1, it was like full suit on, Oh man, I got all the chains on. I got everybody, all the celebrities are at my house and stuff like that. Day two, little people came around, and day three it was like, man, I'm in the house. I'm chilling with my brother at the computer just to see if I actually get the call, right? So you saw it change.
He
You
was
saw
looking
the
like Will
demeanor.
Smith.
Right. He was in bedclothes. So that's all I'm saying. It was just like
That makes
I
sense.
don't
That
know
makes
what I don't
sense.
know what he experienced, but just by analyzing it just a little bit, yeah, that experience probably humbled him a little bit more to the point that now that he finally got his little pinky toe into the door, now maybe that might be an opportunity for him to carry himself differently. Maybe he might not carry himself like his father, or maybe he does. Who knows? We'll just see. But he got into the door the way that God wanted him to get into the door. Now it's your opportunity to not squander that opportunity because not a lot of people get those opportunities. So yeah.
Yes, that makes
Shout
that
out to
makes a
him,
lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah. Mhm.
Took a while to get there, but he got there.
Yeah.
Most people don't. So,
That's
so,
true.
all right. So, you know what? Before I get into my part of about the culture fit, let's check the chat real quick to see what the thoughts are, and then because I think it fits in very well. Let's see. Favor says, I don't think I agree. I don't know if God wanted that particular spot. Shador says exactly. I think he was being humbled. That's what it looks like. I mean, God's timing can't humble you, right?
Right.
That's a good point.
It can humble anybody.
Yep. Says that's true. Two things can be true at once. Mr. Cook says that is so true. Is it really in God's plan or your personal desire? That's a great point. Favor says, "Uh-oh," and Favor really appreciates your responses. This is a good question and a response. So you're doing something out here, Rod Brown.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. Favor says, I think it's God's timing that he was drafted in total. But as far as being the 155th, 144th, I think it was intentional. But at the same time, God also humbles. What do you like? I want Favor. What do you mean by intentional? Like, what does that mean? Like when you say it's intentional, unless you know, right, Brown?
Let me answer that. I think from what people are particularly saying within the media, sometimes you can't necessarily trust the media and what they say. You could take everything with a grain of salt. But a lot of people are saying it was intentional because of who he is and who his father is, and it could be racially motivated or racially driven and so forth and so on. I don't think that we know, or it was more along the lines of the NFL humbling the Sanders family. I'm not buying into that narrative, right? Because at the end of the day, you had the opportunities to interview like anybody else. If you were going into a corporate position to interview for a job, if you interview for anything that you want, and it's the way that you carry yourself. So certain teams may say, yes, I'm buying in, like the Cleveland Browns did, or no, I'm not buying in, like certain teams that a lot of people mentioned that he was supposed to go to. But at the end of the day, he was still humbled in a certain way because he didn't go as high as he expected or high as the family expected, but he still got in.
Yeah, he
And
was
he
definitely
could have he
humbled.
could have just not got in. And so yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely humbled.
Mhm.
I think as well when talking about the, I mean, God humbles people through other people or tools and stuff like that. So the
Right.
NFL is just a vehicle that was
Mhm.
used.
Right.
But as far as that, because I think you're talking about like, people are saying, oh, like they were conspiring and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I've seen teams take risks on players that they believe would give them a chance to win, regardless of the drama that
Mhm.
player comes with. Like Antonio Brown, for instance, probably some people consider probably one of the best quarterbacks, wide receivers to ever play,
Mhm.
right? And he's crazy, right?
He's crazy, all right.
But how many teams are willing to take a chance with him, right? So
Mhm.
it's I don't think it's that they're colluding. It's like how much of a headache am I willing to take on, especially for somebody that I'm drafting that they aren't like you have to like playing in college and playing in the pros are two totally different things. So
That's
are
correct.
you going to risk your entire draft picks on someone who's not proven, and just because the media is hyping them up because their dad is hyping them up? So I don't know. Let's
That's
keep
true.
going with it.
Yeah,
Go
let's
ahead.
keep going.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, and it can also really tie into what you were saying about everything being the right cultural fit, and I try to tie this into also being a learning lesson from the corporate perspective or from the corporate world too, because you can not be a cultural fit for a job that you're trying to go for, or you can not be a cultural fit for a job that you currently have already. If you're in the 90 days, like how you discussed earlier, you in that window where it's just like they're testing you out to see what you have, and you can just literally just say, they're just not going to fit here. So, um,
I'm
you know,
gonna
it.
I'm gonna tie it back to you.
Okay.
I'm gonna tie it back like later on when I go into my cultural fit
Mhm.
part, but
Okay.
you're gonna see how it fits in well.
Yeah.
Hold on, I missed this one. Hold on. So, Del Finchick says I can't control things like draft number or if I will be given an offer. However, my actions and reactions are 100% in my control. That is
Mhm.
so true. Favor says, by the NFL, I feel like they wanted to humble him. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So saying exactly to what you were saying, says the reason I feel this way is because he was supposed to be drafted in the first round. So
Correct.
I heard that from like a bunch of people talking about in the media. But I never heard any NFL team say it though. I don't know if you did, but I never heard any particular NFL team say that's who we wanted in the first round. It was just like the analysts. Like I, I saw a watching a different show, but a host commentator saying that teams don't know how to scout quarterbacks. I was like, oh, okay. Well, apparently you who watch TV, never played football a day in your life, you know all about how teams scout quarterbacks. Okay, cool. You got it. My bad. Okay. And Favor says this is ESPN. Yep, the worldwide leader in sports. Yeah, all this the one that I just referenced was on Fox Sports, but that's what I definitely.
I think this show is turning to sports coach Ralph. How about that?
But I definitely agree. It's both culture fit and God's timing. True. All right, so that's the chat, all right? So now let's dive into the culture fit part, because what I heard was, and it's gonna tie into like the humbling part, because it's all connected at the end of the day. Your character has a lot to do with what God's gonna do for you, as well as how you're gonna fit into wherever you are, right? So the right culture fit, from what I heard, because I don't follow the draft, I don't follow college football. I don't even follow the NFL, to be honest with you, but I hear about what's happening. And what I heard was that they, meaning his team, his dad, him, his camp, had pretty much a do not draft me list, right? Is that correct? Do you know about that?
It's a possibility.
Okay,
I
so
wouldn't put it past somebody who has influence like that, because it has been done in the past with other families.
So if you want a chance and you're telling people, hey, don't give me that chance, all right? So okay, cool. You know, we will happily honor your request. Although in the NBA, there has been people who said, I don't want to be drafted. Like I think it was Steve Francis. Said, I don't want to be drafted by the team. However, Steve Francis was that good, right?
Right.
And the team that he didn't want, I think it was Vancouver who drafted him, and then they traded him afterwards because he said, I'm not playing for you guys at all. And they traded him to Houston.
Right.
But he had the leverage, right? I heard that he didn't do the combine. Is that true?
That's true. He didn't do the combine.
And it's all right. So you know how some people say, oh, I'm not doing like interview projects, like coding projects for interviews.
Hmm.
So if you want me to hire you, and I say, okay, this is the criteria to get hired, and you say I'm not doing it, what do you want me to do at this point?
Then that means your overall, if we're tying it into like coding in the project world, I would just say that if you decide not to work on a particular project that could potentially help you get to that next particular position,
No, it's to get
then
hired though. It's like,
getting
some
hired.
companies
Okay.
say like, okay, do this project, like write some code or do some
Mm-hmm.
test, and then like we're gonna evaluate it, and if we like it, then we're going to take you to the next step of the interview, right? But if some people
Okay.
say, oh, I'm not doing coding projects for interviews to get hired for the job that I want,
Right.
then you cancel yourself out for that particular
It's,
company.
it's true. I would say that from the interview process standpoint, because I'm used to doing like coding tests like that within interviews. Those are kind of like mandatory because it's a part of the interview process per se. But at the same time, if we're looking at it to allude it back to the NFL Combine, from my understanding in chat, correct me if I'm wrong, the NFL Combine is optional, and let's just say optional, per se. You don't have to go because honestly, the work that you've done within the season or within your college career is like your project. It kind of speaks for itself. So you don't technically need to go to the combine, but it's more of like the cherry on top of the actual cake. So you already baked the cake, it's just the cherry on top. But for those interview process, if they tell you to do a coding project in order to do a coding review and you got about 5 or 6 developers on a call and they tell you to do something, oh, you better do it. All right, don't be like Shador, don't do that. All right.
Did Cam Ward go to the combine? Do you know?
Yes, he did.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. So in addition to that, right?
Hmm.
All right. So what if you have an employee, right?
Hmm.
And there's always something up with them. So let's say it's time to leave work, and it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock. You guys are walking
Right.
downstairs. You
Hmm.
get to the parking lot, and you see that all his tires are slashed and all his windows are busted out of his car. How bust the windows? What do you?
The most
What is
the most
your first step?
the most extreme
You're gonna
situations.
see me tie it back in. You're gonna see me tie it back in. But what is your first step?
Well, my first well, my first thought is to run and get out of there because I don't know what you got going on. Your tires and your windows busted out. I don't want. Hey man, I don't want no parts of that. I'm going home. All
And
right,
there might be sugar in your gas tank.
I'm going home. All right, I'll call you Uber. I got to get out of here. I don't know what's going on. All right.
So you already think, okay, this person has a lot of baggage, right?
Right.
I think also the how vocal his dad
Hmm.
is, which made him vocal as well. It just puts a like, I don't want that baggage. Like I just don't want to do that baggage,
Right.
especially for someone who is brand new to the team. Now, if your ability like if you're throwing like 10 touchdowns a game from preseason, right?
Hmm.
I might deal with your slash tires and your busted out windows if you're going to be delivering me victory.
Hmm.
But if
Right.
if I might not be getting any results until like the third year into working for the company, but I'm going to have your dad constantly in the locker room nagging me, saying, "Oh, that's not how to play my son." Blah 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 blah. Like I don't want to deal with that.
Well, honestly, that's actually a valid point. And I think also probably a lot of teams probably had that kind of conversation with themselves. It was so many things that the media was telling us about those particular things, but um, overall, hopefully, at the end of the day, a lot of those conversations can now culminate within this one particular person who has the opportunity. Because at the end of the day, when you're on the field, we're just specifically talking about, you know, you getting the job and you actually having the opportunities, you have to take accountability for your actions. Now that you are within the league, you are now a grown man. You got to stand on your square and you got to be able to perform just like any other job. You get the job, you're hired. Congratulations. Now you have to perform and you have to take accountability for your particular job. Your parents, your mom or your dad can't do your job for you when you get hired. So when you go in there, you have to get and perform, do what needs to be done. Don't bring any baggage to the job. We don't need anybody slashing out tires and busting out windows. Come in here and get your job done, do it to the utmost performance, and then go on about your
And
business.
I think the teams might rather the
Mhm.
busted tires and the or the slash tires and the busted windows instead of
Mhm.
the dad in the locker room. If I had to pick one, give me the tires and the window.
Oh man. I can't answer that. I can't. I
But yeah,
can't.
so to wrap it up, right?
Yeah.
I think that with the attitude and the appearance and everything like that, he probably would
Mhm.
have been great on that old Cincinnati Bengals team that had Ocho and what was his name? Von Burfict, I think was that linebacker, and I
Yeah,
think I
perfect.
think it would have been a great draft pick for that team.
Right. I mean, all I can say is a lot of quarterbacks, if we're talking specifically about the NFL, a lot of quarterbacks, doesn't matter what race that they were, they all had a certain type of swagger. Joe Burrow had a certain type of swagger. Peyton Manning had a certain type of swagger. Like they all had a certain type of swagger that was either palatable to the public or not palatable to the public. Some people want to play a certain persona because I personally feel like it's a certain persona in order to, market yourself and, be a particular brand because it's not just about playing, that's like the foundational level, but it's also about other things in order for you to sell, in order for you to be a particular brand for yourself. So everybody has a particular persona. It's just what's going to work and what's not going to work. And if something doesn't work, then you're going to have to, pray to God and hopefully, get some type of answer to be like, I might have to change my ways in order to, be able to perform. Because regardless if it does or doesn't work, at the end of the day, you still have to do your job.
And I
And
think
you're
the earlier you can start
Mhm.
delivering on that actual job is the more
Then the narrative changes.
and the
Right.
more risk they're willing to like put up with. But if you're
Right.
not going to, if it's gonna take like I was saying years for you to deliver, then
Mhm.
they're not like it's not worth the headache to deal
That's
with
true.
that.
Hence the reason why it's important for us to take away from this is yes, again, two things can be true at the same time. I personally feel like this was God's timing the way that this was done
Sure
because
was.
everybody's saying, oh my gosh, this is the most historic slide in the NFL draft ever in life. No, this was God's timing, in my opinion. But also at the same time, you can also say that you also need to make sure that you're set up to be the right cultural fit for whatever position God has given to you. So again, we can use Shador as an example, but we can also apply this to our particular lives too. When we interview for jobs, whether it's for QA, for web development, for any particular job, doesn't matter what you want to do, you need to make sure that you do the best that you can, put your best foot forward in order for you to, nail that interview. And I want y'all to nail these interviews too. So once you get the job, that's the next step is keeping a job, making sure that you're the right cultural fit, making sure that you're going above and beyond on your job, making sure that you're knocking out particular projects, making sure that that you're getting your things done versus doing
Yo,
the
this
bare
house real
minimum.
simple, B. It says wrap it up.
So
Wrap that shit up,
I just
B.
I just want everybody to I just want everybody to understand that we can all get the opportunities that God has blessed us with, but also at the same time making sure that you don't squander those opportunities and you knock it out the park and make sure that you're the right cultural fit.
Yep, totally agree with all that. Yeah, after hearing more of your perspective on what you meant by the timing, that makes a lot of sense what you're saying.
Mhm.
I I,
Yep.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think a lot of things. I think a lot of things played a role,
Mhm.
and it probably would have been God's time would probably been a lot sooner if all those other things that I was mentioning about the culture fit weren't that way, you know?
Right.
But the faster you can deliver value, the more lenient that people are going to be with you. So, you know.
That's correct.
Cool. Great talk, Rod Brown. See, I got you to go live again.
I knew what you were doing when you asked me to come on here, so I'm not. Hey,
I mean, but we can't have this conversation in the comments, you know. Like we gotta
know.
have that conversation. It was great, you know. I'm gonna ask the chat a question. Just say just type in Rod Brown at Rod Brown if you enjoy when he comes and onto the show and have a conversation with Tech Coach Ralph. I'm gonna even add it myself. I'm gonna add it myself at Rod Brown.
Oh man, don't be deceived by this guy. I'm trying to tell y'all right now. He wants me to go live so badly. You know, I'm trying. I'm trying to resist from this guy.
It's so fun. No, it's so
I
fun.
know.
All right. Let's read the chat and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. Favor says his father definitely loosely said that there are places he can and can't go. I wonder if Cleveland was on the list of the can't goes or the can goes. I wish I could see that list.
And again, it was a possibility, but this was done before, and the biggest example was the Manning family. They Archie Manning, who was the father of Peyton Manning, and Eli Manning pretty much told teams that Eli Manning won't play on the West Coast. Well, he got drafted for a West Coast team, and he got him traded over to the New York Giants. So, I mean, people take gambles like that, but also at the same time, you have to take into account that you're also taking a gamble on your career too. So,
That's true. That's true.
you run that risk.
Because they could have said, okay, fine, we're just gonna drop him, but he was
That's
able
true.
to win. Maybe Shadura will win too. Favor says you do cripple yourself. Here I thought about this example as well. You remember not Pistons Isaiah Thomas, but 5'9" Isaiah Thomas that played for
Boston?
Boston. Yeah, he played for Boston.
Yeah. Mhm.
I remember he was like coming up for a contract, and he was feeling himself, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna back up the Brinks truck." Well, he got traded to God knows where, and he barely got $2. So
He backed up that Brinks truck, all right. That play
Yep.
Brinks truck, that little baby Brinks truck, it just
he
like,
must have been watching Dead Presidents or something like that, because it did not work out well for him. Favor says, golly, based on my example about the busted windows and the slashed tires and the sugar in the gas tank.
it's too much.
They busted Shadur's tires in the windows. Oh, that's not nice. That is not nice at all. Let's see what else we got. We got Beginner Security in the building. What's up, Beginner Security? Thank you so much for stopping by.
I appreciate you.
Favor says exactly. Miss Freckles says absolutely. And Favor says awesome chat. And Miss Freckles says you did great, Rod Brown. Yes, Rod Brown always does an amazing job. He's all right. Favor says, well, this is my first time, but I enjoyed it, Rod Brown. And Beginner Security says, he seems like a knowledgeable dude, Rod. Look at all those compliments. He's blushing on the inside.
I appreciate it.
He said, Mr. says, don't resist, Rod Brown. It will get easier the more you do. Look, Miss Freckles, I was telling him he needs to go live before he starts to get too big so that he can get comfortable with it. But,
Miss Freckles, please don't feed into what he's trying to feed to you, all right? All right? Don't allow him to manipulate you.
I'm telling you, you can run a show like no one else can. Favor says, Just your example. I know. Beginner Security says, it's not that Eli didn't want to play out west. It was the Chargers' reputation of not developing QBs and surrounding him with solid supporting cast. And he was right. Phillip Rivers never won a Super Bowl.
Bruh.
That is true.
That's a good point.
That's true.
That is an excellent point.
Thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Coach says, welcome. Keep up the consistency and your community will grow. That's a fact. Keep it up, Rob Brown. Beginner Security says, and Eli Manning did 2 Super Bowl wins. That's unfortunate. As a Charger fan, we did Phillips dirty. And I will say, one of Eli's Manning Super Bowls was due to a miracle helmet catch.
Don't do that.
Don't do that in history. What?
Yeah.
What?
Don't do that. A win is a win.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that catch will go down. And was that also like he also had that one-handed catch with that wide receiver, right?
Odell Beckham. Yeah, was that?
Was
yeah,
it?
that was Eli. If I'm not mistaken, it was Eli.
But was that a Super Bowl win?
No, that was just that was a normal game.
But he had that. I remember that helmet catch. That was crazy. But hey, he got the ball there. Like he got the ball there, and the wide receiver was able to make the play. So that's crazy. Like talk about putting it in the perfect spot, right?
It's true. Perfect timing, right?
There you go. You see, there was God's timing for you. And Ms. Freckles says, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Thank you, Ms. Freckles. You know what, Ms. Freckles? I'm going to tell him again. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Ms. Freckles, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you something. The fact that you said that, now he's gonna send that to me every single day. I mean, just like every day.
I'm just gonna screenshot it. Anyways, that's all for tonight. Thank you so much, Rod Brown, for calling in. Any final thoughts?
No, I definitely appreciate the conversation. This was a great conversation to have. I'm always appreciative of this community, and let's keep it going.
Sweet. All right. Appreciate you. Keep up the great work. We'll be tuning into all your videos, your premieres, and looking forward to your continued growth. All right.
Thank you so much.
Once you drop off from here, drop your channel link in the chat so people can go subscribe to it. Actually, I think I have to do it.
Yeah, you might have to do it. I don't think I can do a link.
All right. I'll take care of that. But yeah, you have a good night. I will talk to you later.
Y'all take care.
All right, y'all. That was Rod Brown tapping in for an amazing conversation. But that is our show for tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys had an amazing time. Let's see, get this banner off. But that's it. Quick announcements before we wrap it up. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be going live with large language models. We're going to continue working on our chatbot conversation thing that we've been working on. Looking to wrap up day 1 of week 2 on that. And at noon, we're going to be premiering software explorations, concept and overviews, where I'm going to be showing how to create a bucket in S3 and how to upload a file to it so you can have your first cloud storage. But that's about it. That is about it. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be going live again on Thursday as well for probably ethical hacking. But that's it. You guys have a wonderful night. Tech Coach Ralph, we are out.
I used to roam those crowded streets where all the ghosts I know. But I'm a torch to every bridge, ain't scared to let them go. I got my past in the rear view mirror. All the voices couldn't be any clearer. They say don't burn bridges, don't you dare. I got dynamite, I just don't care. Blow them up, let the pieces fly. Watch the dust settle underneath the sky. Never look back, keep my head held high. No more tears, I won't cry. They say make amends, learn to forgive. I know what it takes to truly live. Cut the ties and watch me thrive. This is my life, I won't just survive. Blow them up, let the pieces fly. Watch the dust settle underneath the sky. Never look back, keep my head held high. No more tears, I won't cry. They say that time can heal the wounds, but I'm not one to wait. Patience lost in the inferno, burning past debate. Each step away, another layer peeling off my skin. Emerging from the ashes, ready to begin. Memories like shadows, they fade away. Couldn't weigh me down on my brightest day. Goodbye to the old, I'm breaking free. No regrets, this is the new me. Blow them up, let the pieces fly. Watch the dust settle underneath the sky. Never look back, keep my head held high. No more tears, I won't cry. Just don't look back. The past is just a memory in gray and black. Keep walking forward, leave the wreckage far behind. I'm setting fire to every bond that tried to hold my mind. Bridges, don't look back. The past is just a memory in gray and black. Keep walking forward, leave the wreckage far behind. I'm setting fire to every bond that tried to hold my mind.